Welcome to Everything Life Coaching with John Kim and Noelle Cordeaux, founders of JRNI Coaching. If you're inspired to begin your own life coaching practice or just want to learn a little bit more about what it's all about, visit jrni.co. That's JRNI.co.
Hey guys, on this episode, we're going to talk about how to facilitate learning and get results from your clients. Well, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm really well. I love this topic.
I think it's an important one.
It is, and it's hilarious because the unsexier the topic, the more I love it. Like facilitating learning and
I know. As I was saying the topic, I was trying to think of a way to make it more sexy, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you like it long, long paragraph titles, then let's go with it.
Yeah, totally. And so I guess the reason why I like it is that this is the why of coaching is
Yeah.
you're helping your clients get both learning and results.
Yes, it's the revelations and execution. It's the
Mhm.
and the results. I think it's really important because at the end of the day, the coaching is about results. It's not just about unlike the clinic world, about just processing and going deeper. Coaching is about how are we going to actually change your life.
Yes, so much. And it also this is such a great topic because this aspect of learning is very very different from the awareness that's created through therapy. When you learn something through coaching, you're actually building your toolbox
Hmm.
in actionable ways. And so it not only creates the results, but it gives you the tools that you need to sustain them in other thresholds of your life.
All right, so let's talk about step one: creating awareness.
Yeah. So we can't do anything without awareness. And when we're thinking about, okay, I have a goal, I want to change, I want to grow, I want to do something in my life, I want to move across country, I want to change careers, step one literally has to be, well, what's different from what you're doing now? And what do you need to do differently in order to move forward?
Yeah, and I gotta say it's hard or maybe even impossible to be, especially if you're new to working on yourself, uh, to be aware of yourself. It really takes another person, to hold up that mirror.
Yeah, and the aspect of mirroring really specifically has to do with new thoughts, beliefs, perceptions, the role of emotions in your life, and the different interrelated factors that affect you and your behavior.
Right. And so we're not telling clients what to do. We're, keeping our angles and our own perspectives, opinions to ourselves, but we are uh, playing back what is happening for the client so the client could actually be more aware.
Yes, and the way we do it is through mirroring, of course, reframing, repeating back to our clients what they have said, but also offering our own insights to clients. And that is something where I think this is where people get really confused around, well, am I giving advice? Am I not giving advice? So, let me explain a little bit around how to do this. So, if you, for example, have a client that repeatedly brings something up and it becomes a theme for you, it would be really appropriate to say, hey, I have an observation. Is it okay if I share it with you? And then you say to your client, you've brought this thing up like 15 times. It seems to be getting in the way. What do you think about my observation?
So pointing out what's happening, at the same time being neutral about it, asking for permission, and then showing the client what is happening, and then awareness happens, and the client can actually see whether it's thought patterns or whatever is happening that the client didn't see before.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Or even just, common sense stuff. We know that feelings aren't facts, but when you're having really big feelings about something, it can sure feel like a fact. It can feel like the sky is falling. So, part of creating awareness too is holding up that mirror and directly asking your client to distinguish between things that are big deals and things that are trivial based on where they want to go.
Yes, and also What about highlighting strengths in clients?
Ooh, that's huge.
Yeah,
Championing them,
yeah.
championing their behaviors, 100%.
And I gotta say, it's you're not just being a cheerleader because I think this is one of the mistakes that coaches who are like baby coaches and coaches, especially who have not been through any kind of certification program, they tend to just be cheerleaders and they're saying that you can do it, but that to me that's not coaching.
Yeah, so let me model how to champion a strength in a coaching way. So, John, one of the strengths that I have observed in you over the years is that you are a very, very good and deep listener. And when we have conversations, I feel that your focus falls exclusively on me, and I feel that I can trust you to give me insightful feedback based on what I've actually told you.
Wow, thank you.
You're welcome.
Not w I love, when you speak, unlike me, because 'cause I'm just, scattered, I love how everything is just so perfectly articulated. It's like a perfect sentence with no stutter. I love it.
Thank you. But, this is so as we're and then you mirrored a strength back to me, right? So these are both things that we're walking away with. We're like, "Oh, wow, like we're really good at that thing. Like I should
Mhm.
lean into that. I should
Right.
do more of that." And then, that leads us to our next point of designing actions. Once you have that awareness of your strengths, what's significant, what's trivial, what behaviors are getting in the way, insights from your coach, then it's time to do something with that
Yes. Yes,
information.
and can I just say one thing about strength? You have to kind of earn that, right? Like, you actually have to have a relationship with your client. So, for example, if Noelle said that to me and I've only known her for, a day, it wouldn't land, you know? I would just be thinking she says that to everyone. So, as a coach, once you have a, authentic relationship with your client, that championing their strength, it hits harder, it lands better.
It does. It
Yeah,
does. And that's why we take time in the beginning to build that trust and intimacy with our clients.
right,
Yep.
right.
And then once we're there, it creates really rich soil to move people to action.
Mhm.
And action falls into two buckets. You're either learning or you're experimenting.
That's interesting. Learning or experimenting.
So let me set this up. A goal, a main goal, is called a meta goal.
Mhm.
And when we're playing around with goal setting theory, we know that if you're really pushing somebody to a flourishing life, it's important to set goals that feel just a little bit beyond your reach. Because if you don't feel a little bit freaked out by your goal, you're going to stay in your comfort zone. So, how we actually move people forward in life is to set the goal just a little bit outside of comfort.
Yes, this is actually the rule also, to hit flow states. It's like you can't be too comfortable. It has to be a little bit scary, but it can't be so scary that you're not gonna do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And think about this with weightlifting, right? You can't stay at the same weight; you won't grow your muscles
Right, but you also can't jump 100 pounds because then you'll get
because
hurt.
you'll hurt yourself.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So it has to be this balance. And part of the value of coaching is being that safe harbor where somebody can say, "Okay, I'm going to take the risk. I'm going to push myself just a little bit further than is comfortable." Um, John, my entire relationship with you has filled that capacity of pushing me just a little bit further than I am comfortable with.
Yeah, and you know what? For me too. And I like that our pushes are coming from a place of, love. There's consideration. There's trust. Right. There's all the elements that you actually need with coach and client too for the push to be powerful. For the push to be invited and accepted and then executed.
Yeah, 100%. And I love that you brought up how that trust really holds the whole thing. It makes it feel safe to do. It makes it feel safe to do.
Yeah, I think without trust, the push will be returned by pushback.
Yeah, you're spot on. And so, we're setting the goal And then what do we need? So when there's a meta goal, there's a main goal, it's a stretch goal. We need sub goals. We need leveraged goals along the way that support this big goal. And they're either action steps or new learning. You either need to learn how to do something or you need to do it. Those are your two options. It's pretty straightforward. And this is, I think, where young coaches get a little bit lost. Learning goals are super valid. If you don't know something, you have to learn about it first. You just can't go out and do it.
I think learning goals are the beginning. But even if what you get is just learning from a session, I mean, that's still good. That's still productive. That's still because I think a lot of people put a lot of weights on results, and if results aren't coming fast enough, they could feel like they're not a good coach. But learning itself, the idea of having revelations or client having learning, that I think that's important. It's huge.
It is. Well, so
Yeah.
let's think about somebody who has a goal of increasing their physical fitness, right?
Mhm.
And they have a tricky relationship with movement. Um, if I were coaching this individual, I would want this person to learn in a safe way all about different kinds of movement so that they feel like they're in the driver's seat and
Mhm.
then choose an activity that feels doable to start with.
Right, so empowering the client, right?
Mhm. Empowering the client. And then that new learning is an action step itself. And then once you've selected, say, okay, I'm going to start with hiking. Well, now what do you need? You need boots. You need a trail mat. You need to figure out where you're going to go. You need to set the date. You need to commit. You need to follow through. And then we celebrate.
Yeah. So, this reminds me of the rule where you meet the client where they are.
100%. And celebrating those small steps along the way feel really good. I mean, think about it, even, the different apps that you use, even though we know that this is UX designed experience that triggers dopamine in our brains. Whenever I hit my 10,000 steps on my Fitbit and I get those little, explosions and flags waving, I feel really good. I do a little dance.
I love it, I agree, and I think, when you celebrate and it's coming from an authentic place and you really believe that, there was accomplishment, you're dropping a coin into your self-esteem bank, you feel, uh, like, more valuable, you like yourself more, so, yeah, I think the little celebrations are super important.
And I can't overemphasize how important this is for your clients to experience. With my own coach, um, when she celebrates my successes or calls out something really wonderful that I've done, it usually shocks me
Mm,
because even though I have wonderful, supportive, awesome friends and family, and we have a wonderful, awesome, supportive team, I don't have a boss. I don't have
right.
anybody that day in and day out says, "Holy shit, Noelle, you just did this thing." And so when it comes from my coach, I'm like, "Whoa, okay, I can really accept this," and it
Yeah.
feels so good.
And also, it's because, most of us, we can't give it to ourselves, right? We minimize accomplishments. I mean, rarely do we actually give us, that celebration, that pat on the back, or anything like that. That's why it takes another person to do it for you.
It does, and a lot of people don't have, that role filled in their lives. It came from our parents and teachers when we were younger, and as adults, and so I guess too, it's important for the coach to think about taking on that responsibility of saying, "I'm going to be that person for somebody else. I'm gonna celebrate my client's successes. I'm gonna show up for that person so hard that they feel it from me."
Yeah, I love that we're talking about something that is overlooked, and a lot of people may feel like, oh, is that really coaching? Um, celebrating your clients' wins and accomplishments. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's super important, and I think we need more of it in the world. It just encourages people to do more and do better.
Yes, it super duper does. I will never forget, and we're gonna do it every year now. This past year for our company holiday celebration, we all just sat on Zoom,
Yeah,
and
I remember.
each of us. took the time to just individually go around and tell each member of our team what we saw and valued about them. And I think we were all sobbing, by the end of it, because it was so moving to hear
Yeah.
that, to actually create space to celebrate individuals like that.
Noelle always comes up with the most amazing exercises and interventions for our team meetings that have nothing to do with performance. I mean, and this is a good thing. It has everything to do with team building, coaching, and humanizing ourselves. So, yeah, that was one of
Yeah,
them.
thank you. And I can share a little bit about the philosophy behind that. It actually fits right in with what we're talking about. This is coaching philosophy. How do you build positive organizations? You center, just as you would center the client, you center your team. You center the people who work for and with you, and you really focus on their well-being, because the theory goes that when people feel connected, loved, supported, and cherished, then their nervous system calms down. They open up their prefrontal cortex. They can use their brains to a fuller extent of their capacity. They do better work. They're more productive. They're happier, period.
Yeah, I think they believe in themselves more.
Mhm. Very much so. So, it is authentic and coming from my heart. And I do, um, every time we run something like that, my intention is to provide a beautiful experience for our team. But it is also part of a larger philosophy around positive organization building. And I hope to model that for other businesses that are looking to invoke a coaching culture, because we have a really good culture at
Yeah,
Journey,
yeah,
and I'm protective of it.
yes, and it's needed in other cultures. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that doesn't negate the work, which takes us to our final phase or well, not super final, kind of middle phase of coaching, which is actual planning and goal setting. And this is the part where I think this is the most visible and familiar part of coaching, that you meet with a client, you collect information, and you establish a plan. And when we're looking at coaching as a whole, it's interesting to me that this planning and goal setting is really the most visible aspect of coaching, when in fact it's a nuance.
Explain that. What do you mean? That's interesting. That's a nuance.
So, yeah, we've been working through the ICF core competencies the last several podcasts, and we've hit on maybe 13, 14 um, competencies that go into coaching. And planning and goal setting is just, it's a subset. It's a subset of the entire discipline of coaching, and it's just one small slice of what we need to do. It's an important part of the coaching experience, but it's a small part of the coaching
Yeah,
experience.
and I think this is one of the misconceptions. I think a lot of people think that, this is most of coaching, planning and goal setting, and it's not,
Mhm.
right?
It's not, and it is, and it's a necessary component. But the larger work of coaching is developing your client as a whole person,
Yeah,
to get them to be able to identify strengths within themselves, to get them to be able to determine between significant things and trivial things for themselves, to accomplish a goal in one arena of their life, and then know how to do it for their whole life, for the future, so that they can go on without you.
to get them to not need you.
Mhm. To get
It's
them to not need you,
yeah,
yeah.
it's the same goal we have with our children, to get them to not
I
need us.
know. You have such a long way to go, John.
Yeah, right.
So how do we do it? As coaches, one of the skills that you develop is you listen to someone and they're telling you all about their life, and you're able to just distill it down, pull out the important points, mirror it back so you can consolidate all of that information and say, "All right, this is what I think I heard. Given that, what do you want to do?"
So it's, it's a conversation, it's, coming up together with your client, what the goal is and also what the plan is, getting buy-in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're doing it in partnership. And there are two pieces of this that are really important. When we're setting goals, remember that there's the main goal, but you need those sub or leverage goals along the way. And so we need to make sure that those sub goals, those smaller goals, are attainable, measurable, specific, and have target dates, because the
Yeah.
target dates anchor the action. If you leave it without a date assigned, then it's just kind of goes into the void of, well, maybe someday.
Yeah, and a good way to remember this is, the word SMART as an acronym,
Mhm.
SMART.
Yep.
Yep,
Specific, measurable,
measurable,
attainable, realistic,
uh,
and target date.
yes, time sensitive, and also realistic, but the other word is also relatable, so that your goals are all lined up with, your true north and, your 30,000-foot view where you wanna go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I like the metaphor or analogy of thinking about planning and goal setting like dating, right?
Mm,
I've heard from so many folks out there who are dating who are like, "Oh yeah, somebody said yes, let's get together." And then when you actually went to go set a date for it, they fall off the face of the earth.
yeah, especially today.
Especially
Right,
today.
right.
And so if you're really serious about something, you need to set a date to do it. And there's no way around it. And then the second part of planning and goal setting that I think is so super duper overlooked in coaching, and guys, it's really important, is if the plan isn't working, change it.
Mm, yeah, I think we're so used to holding on to and forcing us to do this one plan that we think is going to work instead of adjusting and changing plans. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, because what we're doing when we set these goals, when we set the target dates, when we're saying, yes, I'm going to follow through this action, we're experimenting.
Hmm.
We don't yet know if this thing is a go. You need to figure it out. And if you come up with data and your client comes to the conversation and is like, well, I tried that thing and it was no good, terrible idea. Okay, everybody, step away from the plan. We need to regroup. We need to set a new one.
Yeah, that's kind of like that's just life. That's how life is, and the people that hold on to their plans that are wrinkled and outdated, when they're holding on to them so tightly, all it does is create anxiety.
It creates a ton of anxiety and it doesn't actually allow for effective forward movement, because
Right.
just because we think something will work doesn't mean that it actually will. So we need data in order to figure out, well, what is an effective thing?
Yeah, there's no learning.
There's no learning.
Yeah.
Relating it back to my Fitbit, I was working with a trainer, and I was hiking like a bajillion miles a day, and I'm pretty
Mm.
active, but I wasn't gaining in the areas where I had goals for
Mhm.
fitness to,
Mhm.
bring up my resting heart rate and to shed some pounds. And I was like, what's going on? We needed data, because from an outside perspective, it would seem like I'm a super active person, which I am. What
Right.
we discovered is that I wasn't getting my heart rate up high enough,
Mm.
that am I am so active that I needed to push myself even
More.
harder to
Right, right.
actually get that heart rate up.
Yep.
So that was a huge piece of learning, and I needed to adjust the plan.
Sure. Absolutely. So, I mean, that's an example of the importance of data, and especially with, fitness and, even nutrition and all of that, data is everything. I mean, without it, there's nowhere to go from there.
Exactly. And,
Yeah.
when we're talking about data, this is also, thinking about the area of love and relationships. If somebody has a goal where they want a life partner and they have their five non-negotiables, and they start going out and meeting people and they're like, I think I need to shift or change these. They're not really
Mhm.
working for
Right.
me.
Right.
Then you need to expand your perspective on what you might be willing to bring into a relationship and how it's going to
Yeah.
go for you.
I totally agree. I think that's something that many people who are frustrated with dating, what they're doing is they have this checklist and it's got like spaghetti sauce on it. It's from 1992, and it's the same thing that they've been holding on to forever, and so they're not getting any new data or evolution for themselves.
Yeah, and they've forgotten that they've changed as a person since
Right.
1982. Like,
Right. Right.
it's, we need to grow with ourselves, as it
Yeah.
were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. You want to take up with the final piece is managing progress and accountability.
hmm Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
This one is, so we have the plan, we know we might need to make adjustments, and week to week, whether you're texting with a client or whether you're hopping on a call or whether you're working a program, you're asking your client how things went.
And accountability, I mean, that's huge. I mean, um, people love for their coaches to make them accountable. I mean, that's one of the reasons why they want to coach.
Yeah, and it's so tricky. It's so tricky to I think emotionally to get into the habit of holding someone accountable.
Yeah, yeah.
And especially for young coaches, there's this really mixed up perception like, oh, I have to be a badass, I have to be a hard ass. No,
No,
not at
yeah.
all. It's a conversation. How did it go for you? Did you call that guy back? Did you talk to your boss? Were you able to get that workout? Did you lift that weight? What happened? It's coming from a genuine place of non-judgmental curiosity.
Yeah, that's such a great point. Most people, when they think accountability, they're thinking the iron fist, and that is a very two-dimensional cardboard cutout of accountability. What Noelle is talking about is, again, meeting the client where they are, right? So processing and asking a lot of why questions, not blaming, and taking a measuring stick to the client's growth.
Oh, yeah. What it actually feels like for me is when I hop on calls with my clients, it's like reading a novel. I'm getting the life updates. I'm getting
Mm-hmm.
to hear the story and tapestry of somebody else's life. And oh my God, what happened? What happened since we talked last? Like, tell me, please
Mm-hmm.
fill me in.
Right.
Um, and then for the client, being able to give that download in a non-judgmental space is such a relief.
Yeah, absolutely. So, guys, this is the process. This is how we facilitate learning and get results from our clients. And if you ever thought about life coaching, or if you're listening and this is getting you very curious, come check us out at journey.co.
Yeah, and we do this, our coaches do this for and with each other
Hmm.
in their own lives. And so if you're saying, "Wow, I really need this process applied to me," come on down. There's a whole community of people who are learning how to do this, doing it together, and building really cool businesses and doing awesome work out there in life.
Yeah. And Noel, thanks for facilitating learning for me and giving me results in my life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
same, John.
absolutely.
Same.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening. Be well.
Ready to cut through the BS of becoming a coach? Snag John and Noelle's 6-step guide to becoming a life coach at journey.co/everything. That's JRNI.co/everything. If what you've heard here today speaks to you and you want to learn a little bit more about becoming a coach, visit journey.co, JRNI.co. We've graduated nearly 1,000 coaches and offer vibrant community, strong lifetime support, and world-class coaching education. We're fully ICF accredited and look forward to watching how you use coaching to make a bigger impact in the world around you.